I was at a family history event at the weekend celebrating the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Hampshire Genealogical Society, and during the lunch break I was approached by someone who wanted to know whether I was planning to make another video sometime soon. Well, he didn't exactly put it like that, but the question served as a reminder to me that it's been quite a while since I've recorded one of these. I didn't catch your name, but if you're watching this, thank you for the gentle nudge. Hi, I'm Dave Annell. Welcome to episode 25 of Setting the Record Straight. And this one, for a change, isn't a moan about ancestry or a dig at modern research practices. Today, I want to take a brief look at some of my favourite sources for researching late 18th century Londoners, and in particular, to look at how using them together can help to bring our ancestors to life. My starting point was the wonderful Proceedings of the Old Bailey website. I'll put the links in the comments. And a discovery I made while researching a family a few years ago. John Stapleton, my client's ancestor, wasn't the perpetrator of a crime or a victim, but a witness to an incident which took place in London's Fleet Street in March 1789. I'll let John take up the story. I am a carpenter. I was walking in Fleet Street between 7 and 8 o'clock in the evening on Tuesday the 17th of March. All of a sudden, I heard a man halloo out he had lost his load. That very instant, a man came up to him and directed him towards the bar and told him it was gone that way. I did not know who that man was, and I heard another voice say, "He has not gone towards the bar, he has gone the other way." I knew the voice of the man that said that, and I immediately went that way and took down Fleet Street. I looked at every window and in Sergeant's Inn. I then went up Red Lion Court and through West Harding Street into Fetter Lane, and opposite Rolls Buildings I saw a man carrying a load. I looked at the load, and it appeared to me to be different parcels from an inn or something of that sort, game. I thought I would be cautious, and I did not speak to the man, but I followed him, I believe for 50 yards. In following him, some man passed me in the highway and joined this man that had the load. He then followed the men as they went up the lane and down Plough Court, and, enlisting the assistance of 3 or 4 boys going by, entered the court, where Stapleton saw the prisoner at the bar with the load on his head. I seized him by the collar and he threw it down. Immediately some people came, and presently after the constable came and took him into custody. Edward Basham, the unfortunate porter who had been robbed of his load, told the court that the initial incident had occurred outside St Dunstan's Church. So what I wanted to see was whether, armed with all of this, I could retrace John Stapleton's steps as he went in pursuit of the missing load. There's no better source than Horwood's map for understanding the geography of late 18th century London. Published between 1792 and 1799 in 24 sheets, and available online on a number of sites, it's quite stunning in its detail. And it's as close in date to the events of March 1789 as we could hope to find. So let's start outside St Dunstan's Church, more properly St Dunstan's in the west, to distinguish it from the church with the same name near Tower Hill. The church stands on the north side of Fleet Street, a short distance to the east of the old Temple Bar. Stapleton must have been close to the incident to have heard the halloo and the calls of the other witnesses. He lived on the corner of Fetter Lane and Fleet Street, as far as I can tell in the first house on the left as you head up Fetter Lane. But he may have been on the opposite side of the road, perhaps somewhere around here, when it all kicked off, as the first place he mentions, after saying that he looked at every window, was Sergeant's Inn, not the Inn of Court of that name which was behind him in Chancery Lane, but a large courtyard leading off the south of Fleet Street. After checking Sergeant's Inn and finding nothing, Stapleton evidently crossed the road, as he tells us that he then went up Red Lion Court, which we can see here on the north side of Fleet Street. And if we head north up Red Lion Court, we come out into West Harding Street, which Stapleton did before emerging onto Fetter Lane, where he saw a man with a load opposite Rolls Buildings. Then, after pausing for a while, he followed the man up Fetter Lane and into Plough Lane, accompanied by his newly recruited young assistants, collared the man, Richard Coleman, and handed him over to the constable. We also have the testimony of the constable, Richard Hutchins, who stated that he kept a pork shop in Fetter Lane, and confirmed that Stapleton had handed the prisoner over to him. And if we look at the land tax records for Fetter Lane for 1789, we find a man called Richard Hutchins paying tax on the second house on the right after emerging from Plough Court. So there we have it. We can positively track the movements of an ordinary man through the streets of London on a particular evening in March 1789. And remarkably, we can still follow in John Stapleton's footsteps today. From his probable starting point opposite St Dunstan's Church, down Fleet Street, there's no trace now of the old courtyard called Sergeant's Inn, across the road to Red Lion Court, which still has some buildings in it that Stapleton would have walked past, into West Harding Street, out onto Fetter Lane, taking care to follow the old road, not New Fetter Lane, which forks off to the east, and finally right into Plough Court. Well, it's actually called Plough Place now. It's probably not on exactly the same alignment as Plough Court, and the buildings in it are all very modern, but it's essentially the same physical space that John Stapleton stood in some 236 years ago. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed our little stroll around the streets of Georgian London, walking in the footsteps of John Stapleton. I'll be back with another episode of Setting the Record Straight soon, I promise.